Check 1, 2.
I think we're live. Hey, the little thingy's going. I don't hear my headphones, but I'm not worried about that. So anyway, it's the Crossmen. We didn't do a preclude or nothing. Sorry about that. I was on a previous radio show and we ran long because everybody was calling in, which is totally cool. But this is the Bones Hour, and we have special guests in studio. Fred is playing hooky today, so we have introduce yourselves. I don't know if people have actually ever heard you on the radio. I
think I was on last time.
Yeah,
I've been on before.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have another special guest in here. She's like, I don't do anything but the paperwork, man.
My name is Joel Moody.
My name is Joel Moody.
I am technically now the assistant core director for Crossmen. I also do volunteer coordinating and a variety of other things for the organization. We also have with us...
This is Rico Gomez. I am the assistant director of operations and the tour director. And yeah, we have somebody else with us too.
My name is Chelsea Stemmett, and I'm also a assistant of cooperations.
Assistant of cooperations? She's like, I assist everybody cooperating with things and everything going on? Someone's just walking into my house. Don't worry about it. So what is going on with the Crossmen? Obviously, we just had a huge weekend here in San Antonio this past weekend. We were going to do a show on Thursday, but... what happens is, and I'll apologize to you guys, what happens is on Thursday mornings I go ride my bike, which is hanging up over there. And then when I get back, I'm tired and I don't feel like doing anything. Not even sitting down. Not even talking. So I watch American Horror Story, which is on DVR. I watch Pretty Little Liars, which is on DVR. And what's the other one I watch? Glee, which starts up next week. Don't judge. Don't judge. Don't judge.
We're very non-judgmental here, Mark.
Because Joel's like, yeah, I watch that too. I watch Glee. It's a secret. It's a secret. So, of course, what happened this weekend? What was going on?
Well, we had our January rehearsal camp this past weekend here in San Antonio. It was at James Madison High School, which has been one of our main locations for camps over the course of many years in the winter.
Right.
This was a big camp for us because, our December camp that we did was our callback camp. And so we had all the folks that had come to our experience camps, came to the December camp and a callback format and went through the second round really of auditions. And we contracted about 50% of the horn line at that point, a smattering of our battery and front ensemble kids, and then some of our color guard folks as well for this 2014 season. That was in December. And so then fast forward to January, what we really wanted to do was there were many folks that we wanted to see again before we could make a final decision on whether we were going to contract them or not. So this really was another round of auditions for a lot of those kids. And the good news is that I think it's advantageous for us that our
Whoa. Slow down with the big words, dude. I'm a drummer. I don't know these big advantage. I can't even spell it. I know you're doing your master's and everything, but But no, I mean, seriously, it was advantageous for you to get a look at it.
It was great for Crossmen because also we had it a week later than some of the other drum corps. And so what we got to see was a fresh crop of talent that came in the door because they had either tried out some other places and maybe didn't make it and wanted an opportunity to march drum corps. And so they came and so we've been able to audition a lot of folks. And really after our January camp, the wrap up, we had 575 people so far, or getting close to 575 folks that have auditioned for the drum corps since our first experience camp. So that was a really big deal for us.
How was that number compared to last year?
It's a little bit lower than last year, and some of that has to do with the competitive placing for the drum corps. But I think also it has to do with just a variety of different things. Depending on what the ebb and flow of people wanting to audition for this year. And honestly, it was really, really fantastic though when you take a look at across the board, because to have that many folks is still higher than what we had before the 2012 season, before the 2011, 10-9, et cetera. So we're still looking at a really high number of people that are auditioning for the drum corps. So that's a really, really great thing for Crossmen. And really at this January camp, the other big part of it was putting the pieces together and starting to get a real glimpse at what's happening with the show. So we actually ensembled with brass and percussion 2 pieces for our show production this year. So that was really exciting, and I'm sure the design team would tell you that the real goal from the beginning was to kind of work ourselves backwards. So the pieces that we're playing are on the back half of the production for this year. So that was really exciting to be able to do that and be outside and really get a first taste of what Crossmen are going to be putting on the field in 2014. So that was fantastic for us. We had Chuck Napier, our brass arranger, was there this weekend.
Right.
He had a lot of really great things to say about camp and the direction of the program so far this year, particularly the brass. And Anthony Crudis and his brass team are doing a really great job. And then also we had our resident rock star, Al Ches, was with us, so that's always a great time. Our crazy Uncle Al.
I saw him out there.
But we love having him around, and he brings a lot of great energy and morale to the Corps. So that was a big part of what happened in January. And then on top of all of those things, we had our drum major experience camp that was going on, and we had Kara Alvarez Calderon, and she's Jaime, who is on our design team.
And who's also former drum major of the year.
Kara is former, Jim Jones Award recipient.
Yep.
That's a DCI Distinguished Leadership drum major. She was running our drum major experience, and she does a fantastic job. And it's so great. We have someone that's so great like that she can do her thing, and we don't have to worry about her. And she did a really great job. And part of that process, we saw 9 or 10 folks that came in, were part of the drum major experience, and all of them went through an audition process because they wanted to audition for our 3rd drum major position. And we selected a gentleman by the name of Spencer Holyoke, and he comes from, where did he come from?
Tomball, Texas.
Yes.
Tomball.
Oh, yeah.
He's a drum major at Tomball Memorial High School, which is pretty interesting because I think it's a new high school, so when he started out as drum major, he was a sophomore, but he was the oldest classman there, so he was technically a senior. Like when the school started, the oldest class there were sophomores, so he's been on top of that ever since for 3 years already. So he's a great guy.
That's tough because you're coming in. Obviously, the two selections already been made. Obviously, 2 vets coming back, and then you're fighting for that 3rd spot. And you've got so many talented conductors out there that are coming in saying, "Hey, I want it, I want it, I want it," and then you're in high school. And you beat out a lot of some college kids. Yeah. That is huge.
He did a great job. And, part of the process is not only in selecting a drum major, it's not always about how well you wave your hands and can conduct a group. Although that's a big part of it. A bigger part of it is demonstrating your leadership ability. And we get a lot of that information, and you get a good feel on those things through the interview process that we did. And on
because you can't be timid being a drum major.
No, you really can't. On Saturday night,
or a cymbal player for that matter,
or anywhere in drum.
That's right. But or a paper pusher, yeah.
Exactly. On Saturday night, we sat down. The administrative team and our caption head sat down with Kara and went through the interview process with all of these candidates, and it was great to ask them some questions about adversity, about leadership, about anything that you could think of related.
Do you guys give them like a I want to say a stress test, but do you give them a situation like, what would you do in this particular instance?
Yeah, we did. Kara actually brought up a great point. She said, all right, you're on the podium and the ensemble starts to tear from left to right. You've got to fix it. What do you do? And to listen to them sort of process that and diagnose of what's going to be the next step is really cool, and we get a lot of insight from that, and we get to hear where they're from and their background, and and really dive into who they are as a person and their character, and that's a lot. That's a big part of what we want. Because
we talked about that last year. Obviously, the MMX is coming up. I mean, we've got a few months till that happens, but MMX had rained on us, and a lot. Pretty much everybody in the stands stayed. They didn't go. They were there. They're like, we want to see it. We want to see it. But there's a lot of folks that obviously Crossmen are different. It's elite. There's a lot of folks who are like, oh, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I'm not making millions of doing this. But everybody stayed. And we had a small crowd there because of the weather. We knew a thunderstorm was coming, but it was one of those things like those were the true fans of beautiful music, incredible music that the Crossmen put out, and they stayed throughout the whole rain and everything. And we put on an abbreviated show per se, and then of course the drumline battles came after that. But it's just one of the things that Crossmen have such a big following here in San Antonio.
Absolutely, and and really with the drum major part of that, that's just overcoming some of those adverse conditions and going, what's next, and those guys last year did a great job of handling that, and we know that Spencer, as part of that, is going to be a great addition to the team. So we're excited, and we're getting there. We've contracted almost all of the horn line. I think 69 of 74 brass. I think.
So is Chris trying to forge his birth certificate where he can come back on and be the screamer?
Yeah, Chris Lyman would love that if he could. But
he looks stressed, man. It was the first time I've ever seen Chris stressed in the last couple of years. I mean, obviously he's no longer in the line, but he's helping out, and he looked stressed on Sunday when we were there.
I think he's taken his job seriously in his work with the drum corps. So
I want to say that Chris is probably listening, and obviously I know the family is. He wasn't stressed; he was focused.
There you go. We'll go with focus.
Yeah.
No, Chris is doing a great job, and it's always great to have these great alumni that we can, come up through the Corps and be ultimately then, be a part of the instructional staff or the administrative staff and make a contribution back to what they're doing. So
yeah, because we've had people on Facebook. I mean, I know you guys have seen it as well. They're asking like, when's the move-in date? When's this? They're already planning for travel and the volunteers and everything, which are huge. Couldn't do anything in the world without volunteers. And the Crossmen have such a great nucleus of volunteers, which they have another name for.
The 151s.
There you go, the 151s. And you can do that. You can volunteer, obviously, as well. You're going to get once you sign up, you're going to get a cool shirt. They need help all year long, not just at camp, the 3 weeks that we're here in San Antonio at Blossom, but the whole year, wherever we are. Because this year, we're going to the West Coast. Rico over there playing Words with Friends and Bubble Safari. So how cool is it you guys are going to Clovis, California, obviously, and you're doing some West Coast stuff?
I mean, I'm pretty excited because the last time I went to California, I did the Clovis show. I was the first year as a member in 2007.
I was about to say, because I went to that one in 2007.
So we're going back and we're visiting all the places that I marched at. So visiting as the administrative staff is just a cool thing to see and kind of get there. And plus, it is nice and cool in California compared to some of the places that we were going to previously.
Yeah, but real quick about this is the administrative staff, and you got the paper pusher right here, but the administrative side of the staff is when you're marching, obviously your schedule.
Yeah.
But when you're an administrative staff, you still have a schedule. It ain't like you just pull up in the RV and go, all right, we'll see y'all later. We're going to go sightseeing and, stuff like that. We're going to Yosemite.
Oh, how I wish.
We're going to get the gator and go cruise around. It doesn't work that way because as we talked about many, many times, there is no off season. You guys are working.
Yeah. Part of that's what we do, and of course, with Chelsea that has come on board, and she does a lot more than just push paper. But
I know that
she's been a great asset so far, and with Rico and myself, we've got a great little team of administrators that are working there with Fred Maureen at the office every day, and there's so many things that are going on, and we actually just had a great conversation about this yesterday. I think sometimes in nonprofit world and organizations, you get a little bit tied up in the day to day, what's happening next, and that Crossman's no different. We are constantly thinking about camp and making sure we're taking care of this and crossing those things off the to-do list. But a lot of what we're starting to think of now are what are some more long-term strategies, and that is long-term in terms of MMX and getting down the tour. And Rico sits in there and is already putting together our tour schedule and how that's going to work, and doing some real long-term planning, but also thinking about some of those big projects down the road, and what can we do next. And
because you're also looking at, speaking about going on the road and everything, because you're already looking at logistically, obviously where the ice cream stops are.
Yeah, of course.
Where there's laundry facilities for 160 folks. Where is, and people are like 160? Well, yeah, of course 150. So you had the admin staff, but also if there's any mechanical breakdowns or anything, where along those routes can you get help?
Yeah, I mean, even now we're starting to look at all of this stuff because we can't just take any of that for granted. If, say, we have a rain day, we can't be like, oh, let's just do laundry that day because we might be in a town with one laundromat. We need like 4 for the whole Corps to do it.
With one washer and dryer.
And there's like a couple places between, say, like Denver and Salt Lake City where you should break that up into 3 different drives or 2 different drives. But there's maybe one small town and there's 4 or 5 different Corps doing that same drive. So it's kind of whoever gets to that middle town first. So, yeah, right now it's probably all the planning period, and within the next couple months it's just locking everything down. And when we start spring training, everything's pretty much locked down. It's just, let's just go on the road and play.
Right.
I'll say this. Crossmen are really lucky to have Rico as our tour director. He's at this now. What year is this as the tour director sign?
This is like 3 or 4.
3 or 4. And, it's so great. Like, we don't think about, some of the other things. Like, we don't necessarily have to think about every little logistic. He's got it all planned out. Everything happens, and we go, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, what was the learning curve, though? From the first year to now to being the master, I mean, what was the big learning curve?
Well, I mean, I was lucky because when I came in, after I marched, I was a tech, a symbol tech. we
Right.
talked about last time. And I did half a season there, and the other half I just volunteered as an admin. And I was lucky because Joe was on there, and he was in his maybe second or third year. And then so I got to kind of just keep following him and seeing what he was doing for a couple years. And then one day he's like, all right, you just do this school and see what happens. And there'd be a couple times where I had no idea what I was doing, but he's like, nope. He just raised his hands and was like, no, just take care of it and stuff like that. I mean, it really helps because the administrative staff we had on time at the time, we all kind of grew together. And like the next year when we did the same thing, he's like, all right, you can do this housing site the very first year. Like I already knew what to do because I kept following him for the past couple of years. So I learned a lot from Joe, who's not here right now, but
who's playing in the snow up north, wishing he was in San Antonio.
Miss you, Joe. Miss
right? You. So obviously, what's coming up? Because the camps and everything, you can go to crossmen.org, folks. You follow them on Twitter at Crossmen. But the camps and everything are coming online. They're obviously on the website. We got the drive for uniform drive is coming online. There's a donation. There's a fuel donation they can do. All kinds of things folks can do to help out the Crossmen. So what can we do?
Well, we actually just began our big fundraising packet that went out to our members because they're going to begin the process of really trying to raise their tour fees, which are expensive. About $2,900 in the tour fees for them this year. So there's a lot of individual members that are beginning their journey to really raise those funds, and so they have a lot of individual things that they have going on and reaching out. Our fuel-a-thon is a big thing, and that's where we collect names and addresses from the members, and we send out the big fuel-a-thon packets. We also have the I just totally blanked. What else? We have the ticket sales. That's what I was looking at.
I just put that up. Ticket sales.
I just saw that.
The ticket sales, we have the DCI tickets that we are selling, and Crossmen get a portion of those proceeds, and then some of that can be returned to the members if they're able to help sell those tickets. We already have our MMX, that will be the next thing, selling the tickets for the MMX events. So that's part of what we're doing. We've got the uniform drive is continuing, and we're making some good progress on that. We still need a little bit more help to get us over the edge.
Right.
But we really want to see that project through, so that's a big deal. And then, we're always, trying to think of the next creative way to bring some revenue into the drum corps so that we can keep, expanding our offerings, and doing more things. We've got TMEA is happening next weekend, and that will be part of a new. We'll be talking a lot about this coming up, our new sort of venture that's going to involve. Maybe I'll let Fred talk mostly about it next time.
We'll let him talk about it.
We'll let him talk about it, but we'll just say that it's called the Crossmen Connection.
Yeah, he's trained you well.
That's got some good things that are going to be happening for in cooperation with our sponsors and the products that they offer and Crossmen as well. So that's going to be huge for us, and just the normal things, and then trying to think. We're excited. Maybe Rico can talk about this, but we're real excited because we kind of looked into creating this educational signature series, and we're sort of testing this next camp.
Yeah, what we did with this past month was the drum major experience camp, and then we have, like you were saying, during MMX, we have a bunch of kids come out during spring training, and they get to kind of partake in that. And so we just thought, why don't we do this during the months that we have rehearsal?
Right.
So this next month, during the February camp, which is February 28th to the beginning of March, we're going to have a full weekend cymbal clinic. So we already have the cymbal line set. So this next camp, we're going to invite any cymbal player who wants to sign up. You have to pay the fee to go in the whole weekend, but you get to learn from the current cymbal techs, some current cymbal players that are on the line now, some cymbal players that used to be on the line, including myself. Get to plug that in.
Right.
But it's a whole weekend where they could improve their craft. And like we talked about last time, the cymbal playing is just a completely different animal compared to any other instrument or any sort of thing.
Chelsea, what did you play?
I was in guard.
See, I can't even do that. I can play snare all day long, but forget that. Guard and cymbals, forget it.
But we're hoping that we have some. A lot of people are excited about it. We have some signups already, so it's really exciting. We just put it up maybe yesterday, the day before, and so hopefully this, opens the gate to other things. Maybe next month we'll have a different instrument highlighted for another
trumpet
clinic
or brass or
right.
Those kind of. This could be something really great where we are utilizing the resources of our instructors, but also branching out a little bit and trying to provide the educational component, which is a big part of drum corps, and not just, hey, here's how you hold your horn in an arc with the marching part of it, but maybe there's some real pedagogical things that can really increase people.
Yeah, because you touched on the point real quick, because we did this in the Blue Angels, because you never know when you're being watched. So if you're not holding your horn or holding your instrument correctly, someone's going to notice it, and it just could happen to be a veteran, right, or a former Crossman that'd be like, oh yeah, I saw Rico with a cymbal and it was 1/2 of an inch lower than everybody else's. I mean, it happens. But so it's one of those things. Like my son is going to Tejeda next year. He'll be a 6th grader. Of course, the band's already recruiting. We did a big recruiting thing the other night that we went to, and he's like, the band director asked him, oh, what do you want to play? He goes, drums. And he goes, well, you want to try trumpet or anything? He goes, no, snare. I want to be a snare player. And he goes, well, you come try out in April. We'll see how you fit and everything. I'm going, really? You just don't understand. He's going to be a snare drummer. But it's one of those things, like, to grow the core, obviously, we have to hit them when they're young. We've got to get them when they're young. There's so many folks, like I said, at Tejeda, the xylophone players. And it took me back. It's a lot of different seeing, obviously, in color guard, seeing 7th, 8th graders playing, and then you see DCI, and you're like, whoa, it's a big jump. Sure. And because they're timid. Yeah. They're being really timid, especially with a color guard. In high school, you go to the high school color guard camps and stuff, especially in the summer, and they're learning how to twirl and do flags and everything. And then you go to DCI, and they're already proficient at it. So it's like you've had years of experience, you've had years of camps to get that way. And how do we do it? We obviously grow the young.
Absolutely. Well, and like you said, we're growing them at an early age, and the folks that are marching DCI didn't come out of the womb being able to play like that. So
I did.
It's a big it's a big deal, and we would be remiss if we are not utilizing the drum corps in an educational capacity. That's part of the mission, of the drum corps, and we utilize the performing arts and music to create great individuals. So that's a big deal, and so we want to keep building that education component. So this is the first step in that educational signature series, and look for that more coming up in the next couple months, and get some more folks involved in that for sure.
That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, real excited about that. Yeah.
And I know you're really on it, because the first one's gonna be the cymbals.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was watching the cymbals the other day, and not to cut you off or anything, Rico, but I was watching the cymbal line the other day on Sunday, and I couldn't do it. Those things are heavy. I know they're heavy, first of all.
I mean, it's a different set of muscles when you're carrying those to compare to horn.
I got to feel his shoulders. Okay,
no, it's been a while for me.
He's like, I have been working out like I used to. Never mind.
But it's a different set of muscles compared to the horn, and it's just with a horn you can grip on it and you can hold the horn, like hold it tighter if you want. The cymbals, it's just they're literally metal plates that you have to hold on to.
Yeah, but you're not just simply holding them. I mean, they're twirling them and doing acrobatic things. I was watching Cirque du Soleil over there when they were doing those things. I was going, that is incredible.
Watching them this year compared to when I marched, it's just completely on another level. Like,
oh yeah, we talked about it before. When I marched, it was we were sideline to sideline. There was no diagonal backing up, doing this stuff. And now you guys are doing flips and turns and all kinds of silhouettes and pirouettes and all that stuff. But it's just amazing. So Chelsea, let's give Chelsea the microphone real quick. So Chelsea, tell everybody who you are, because they're tired of hearing guys. They want to hear girls. My name is Chelsea.
My name is Chelsea. I'm
a Sagittarius.
It's exciting.
You moved here?
I did, just a couple weeks ago, to work for the Crossmen.
And where are you from?
I'm from Kansas originally.
Kansas?
Yes.
Nice.
So this has been fun. A whole new place to live.
A lot warmer than Kansas right now.
Actually, I think Kansas was warmer today, which
really?
was surprising. But on average, it will be nice.
So how is it working for the Crossmen?
It's exciting. It's awesome. It's kind of everything I could have hoped for right now.
Now, when you were in the Guard, did you kind of see what the administrative staff did, and you're like, hey, I want to do that? Or did you go, I have no idea, I just want to do this. I just want to continue on in the Crossmen?
I actually didn't march at the Crossmen. I marched at Teal Sound until we folded. Teal Sound from Jacksonville, Florida.
Never heard of him. I'm just playing. I've heard of him.
We folded in 2012 during the summer, and I finished with the Colts from Iowa. But both of my parents marched Crossmen, and I always kind of knew I wanted to somehow be involved with them, and that whole experience of Teal Sound folding kind of opened my eyes to how I wanted to help drum corps succeed, and so the administrative world was right where I wanted to be.
Yeah, because I saw online there are some job openings at the Crossmen, and I was like, I'm going to apply. And then Michelle was like, no, you're not. You're not going anywhere. You have enough jobs to do during the summer. So how do you see the foray from going in the Guard to coming in and knowing you get to sit in the Winnebago?
It was,
which you really don't. I'm just playing.
It was exciting. It was drum corps is always drum corps, kind of regardless of where you are. You're on the road, and there's stuff that has to get done, and you work really hard at it. And so it was fun to be on that other side and not necessarily have to be out rehearsing all day long, because sometimes that's the worst part. But being able to watch all of those kids rehearse and know that you're helping them to be able to put that show on the field, and that was the biggest part for me, was knowing that they could do what they were doing because someone like me and the rest of the administrative team was getting the food or helping them get to the clinic if they injured themselves or along those lines.
That does happen. Injuries do happen. But what can you, if there's a young lady or young man that's sitting out there and that's listening in the world somewhere, what would be your advice to them for the color guard?
To not get discouraged when anything happens, if you get injured or if you just can't get that one toss right. It's look to the people around you, and everyone's going to help, and just keep going.
Yeah, because we were at camp last spring before move out. I think it was like the day before, and a young lady had a little issue with a rifle and had to be taken. And it happens. I mean, it's dangerous. It's not an easy sport, but it's not easy to do what you do. And like I said, cymbals, I could never do it. My arms would be like this jello at the end of the day. But obviously with a color guard, there's a lot of moving, a lot of dancing, a lot of performing, and those things are not light, especially when there's wind.
Yeah, I definitely went to the clinic a couple times with various injuries, and yeah, it sucks, and every now and then it's scary to do that same move that you might have just injured yourself with, but in the end, you know you can do it, and it's one of those things that once you get through it, it's like, oh, that was easy, and you just got to keep moving forward.
So what was your favorite moment marching?
Ooh. Allentown is always my favorite show. There's such history there, and getting to perform there, the same place my parents performed when they marched, everyone who's around Allentown, it's such a big drum corps tradition that was probably one of my favorite things.
Yeah, there's big things going on in Allentown this year for the Crossmen.
Yes.
Are you ready for that?
I am. I'm excited. Lots of history.
Because you get to walk in. I'm here, peoples. But no, I mean, it's crazy because obviously big year for the Crossmen. So we're going to put you on the spot. What year is this for the Crossmen?
This is the 40th year for the
You guys are training her well. What is your favorite Jolly Rancher?
My favorite Jolly Rancher?
Yes.
Apple.
What is Rico's favorite color?
Blue.
He's looking around like I have no idea. I do have a lot of blue. I got blue jeans. So obviously, what are you looking forward to in 2014 with the Crossmen?
I think it's going to be a great season. We've got some awesome music coming. The choir's shaping up really well, and the 40th season, being a big year like that, will always make things fun. I know past members are going to just come out of the woodworks to make sure they see us and give us a helping hand, and that's always fun when we have that much history and there's that many alumni who want to support us and care about us, and that always makes it great, the family involved with drum corps.
It is amazing because there's so many folks. I mean, obviously, they follow this show, and when we I think I put on Twitter yesterday, we're coming back on. There was like 5 people literally within the first 3 minutes were like, woohoo! And I was going, man, I didn't know you missed Joel that much, you know? But it's one of those things like, it is our word. I mean, it's our way to get the word out about DCI and about the Crossmen to the world is to do this show. And what is the one thing that surprised you about the Crossmen that you did not know?
That I did not know.
That you're like, oh.
The food here is fantastic.
The food where?
The food at the food truck.
I was like, do you guys take her to Taco Cabana or something?
Crossman provides, and was really exciting last year when I joined the team to have such great food all the time. And I don't know.
Yeah,
That's one of
'cause
the things
Chef
that always
Petey
gets
is
me.
amazing.
Yes, so that's always exciting when you.
And that's his truck, because I know the first time I walked on there, he was like, first of all, who are you? Why are you on my truck? And I was like, oh, I'm Mark, and I'm just here. I'm about to interview you. Oh, you're that guy. Oh, okay, never mind. So, but yeah, the food truck's a big help, because not a lot of, and you guys can probably answer this, not a lot of drum corps have the luxury of having a food truck. Who wants to answer that? Rico's passing the mic.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably for most of the world-class corps today, they are running a food truck, and they have our food truck, in case you don't know, for any listeners out there, we have a 48 or 53, a large semi-trailer.
Oh, that thing is a mobile restaurant.
It really is, and we've got ovens and refrigeration unit and sinks and the whole works in there. It really is like a mobile kitchen. And I think most world-class drum corps are generally running with that kind of outfit. I think some of the open-class corps don't always have.
Yeah, because how could they do that, though? Is it a lot of Dairy Queen stops? I mean, I don't understand.
No. I mean, it comes down a lot to preparing meals on a smaller budget and having to do things, get creative with some of their cooking, but they're really able to manage. And I think for the most part, drum corps today is running the same way. They're mostly moving down the road with a kitchen truck of some kind that provides the meals that the kids need. And for us, that's breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack every day. So
yeah, because obviously you got to keep the nutrition up, because it's not like football where you do 2 a days or anything like that, because you're out there the whole day. I'm talking about for camps, the whole day, and a lot of times into the night. So you've got to keep those nutrition up and everything. And obviously there's folks that don't eat meat that are in the Corps.
Yeah, we have a lot of special dietary concerns. We have folks with gluten, have to be gluten-free, vegetarians, some different things that we deal with. But PD does a great job. Our chef PD does a fantastic job of really coordinating that whole process and making that work and making sure that everyone is well taken care of. So he's great, and we're looking to hire an assistant food manager for this year. So if anyone out there is interested.
I know Michelle's about to text me. Don't even think about it.
So that's part of that's another one of those positions that we're looking at. Actually, we're really looking for an athletic trainer. If anyone out there knows a great athletic trainer that's either certified or pre-service
that can travel,
that can travel for the summer. That's really what we're looking for. That's a big need for us. And then we have our tour assistants that we will hire and help out. And then we always take on some administrative interns. And sometimes it really just becomes about having some bodies out there, able-bodied folks that we can trust and can do great work. But really, some of the things that we do, there's just so much happening. It can't always be done with just the three of us. So that's
now, someone had asked me at camp last year, because everything obviously as a camp is out. Don't load anything up into the trailers. Everything's just out, and it's hidden into places and everything with security. But someone had asked me at camp last year, how does it all get in the trucks so fast without getting broken?
We are Tetris masters.
In order to be on staff, you have to know how to do that.
That's part of the training, though. That's what particularly front ensemble, they're going to load the most equipment that goes on the equipment truck, and they are well trained, and they go through that routine enough times to really practice and get it done. And sometimes it takes longer than others, depending on where we're at and what's happening and the time frame we have. But with most things, it gets done in the time that's allotted, and so if we give them 10 minutes, they'll figure out how to get it done in 10 minutes. We give them 45, they'll figure out how to do it in that. But they're really great at that. And Nathan and Buck and our percussion staff, our front ensemble staff, have done a great job in preparing them for that. And so that's all part of what we're doing. And, that truck sometimes is bursting at the seams. We've got a lot of stuff that's on there. And we took some time and went through there this weekend, and we're cleaning out and doing some different things. And so that's just part of it. And, keeping that regularly maintained. And the same thing with the kitchen truck. And PD's got that down to a science of getting that thing packed up. And we utilize a group of members that their tour job is to be the kitchen truck set up and tear down. So they do a lot of that, and they're great at it. They can get that thing done in no time. So
because they're up before the Corps gets up, obviously to get breakfast prepped and ready to go. Yeah,
the volunteer, our 151s and PD are doing that in the morning when we arrive at a housing site, and we utilize some folks for helping with that setup, but mostly it's the tear down on the back end of getting that kitchen truck broken down. And we had a great group of individuals last year. Who was in that? Connor Ebersol and some other great folks that are members that are just able to get it done, know what it takes, and they utilize their time. They know they've got this time to eat and shower and pack, and my last job is to make sure the kitchen truck gets packed up. So they do it well, and we've become a pretty well-oiled machine moving down the road. Crossmen tour really, really well. So
what is See, I knew someone was I knew the text was coming. Any hint on what the new uni looks like? It happens. Maybe.
We're going to have one. It's going to have pants, and it's going to have a jacket, and it will most likely have an Aussie. I can't see why it wouldn't have an Aussie. So that's what we got for you. There's a lot of different designs.
That's all you're going to give us?
There's a lot of different designs that are being thrown around, and Ed, our program coordinator, Ed Devlin, is working closely with Michael Cesario and getting those things finalized. And we've seen a couple of drafts, and some of them look really cool, and some of them not as much. But just like anything, it goes through a design and draft process and what's going to work for Crossmen. And then also trying to have some things that give us the ability to change some different uniform parts accordingly with each year. If a show is designed around this theme with this music, then we want to be able to characterize some of the uniform to meet some of that. But I mean, of course, it'll have your standard jacket and pants, etc. So
shoes,
so all of those things. But yeah, that's part of it. So we don't know either. We've seen a couple of drafts, but we don't know what the final outcome yet is. But I'm sure that there will be a huge presentation about it when it's time. So
I'm telling you, and one of the things everybody always talks about is the music, the performance. And obviously on Sunday there was many run-throughs. Obviously the drum major camp was going on. A lot of the times the drum major is going up top, which I told Fred, and then it was kind of funny because we're all watching the corps. Well, we were, not you guys. We were watching the corps when all y'all were standing there watching the drum majors up on the platform, doing what they needed to do because they were being graded. So it was one of the things we were focused on the music, and you guys were at work watching what they were doing.
Sure. Yeah, and like I said before, that's part of the audition process, and seeing those finalists conduct and get a real sense of it was sort of the last component for the drum major process, and we got a chance to see what we needed to see and make our final decision on that. And but again, like you said, the music is it really grabs you. It's exciting. It's energetic. It's got. There's some little hints of some throwback from a different Crossman year. And
you're not telling us anything. Come on.
No, I like to keep the.
Come on, Fred Jr. So, Rico's reaching for the mic.
We'll spill the beans. Who knows?
But no, it's one of those things that we Fred, all the way through March last year, we were like, "Come on, Fred." He's like, "Well, it's great."
I think Fred spilled a little bit of beans last time. I think he said the theme. I mean, I'm not going to get.
He did the theme. Yes, he did say the theme. I'm not going to get in
trouble right now, but. I'll give a hint.
Come on, I used to throw Joe under the bus all the time. Come on, man.
I'll only give a hint. We may or may not be playing a small piece of something that Petey played when he was marching.
Whoa.
So if anybody knows Petey, then maybe.
And when Joel played.
No, but people might know when you march.
Yeah, because they'll go on YouTube and start Googling stuff. But no, it's one of those things and I had questions that were texting me this week was, well, is it going to end? Is it going to end low? Or is it going to end high? What's going to be the ending? What is going to be the holy smokes?
It is going to end.
Oh, I know that.
There will
you can't perform the whole time.
There will be a conclusion.
There will be a conclusion.
Yes, the goal is to end on a...
Please don't bring him after he takes a master's test anymore. So, folks, what happened was Joel's going for his master's, so he had to take a test, and it was like 95 essay thesis papers or something, I don't know. But he had to take this test, so he comes in and he's like, oh, I'm so educated right now, and this is what we're going to do. But
that's not exactly how it went, Mark.
Oh, I know. My wife's about to go for a PhD, and I told her, don't ever talk to me when you're going through that stuff, because I'll be like, what?
It's a lot of work, but I enjoy doing it. So
yeah.
But back to the show.
Back to the music.
Back to the music. Yes.
How's it going to end? I know it's going to end
on a high note. It's going to end loud and energetic, and we have moved away from the soft ending that we've had for the last 2 years. I think we've discussed that before, so I feel okay that I won't get in trouble when I get back to the office for giving that tidbit of information. We had very explicit instructions from Fred.
I know.
Say too much.
I know. Fred never gives out anything, but they are listening. I'll let you know that.
Oh, I know.
They are listening.
I know they are.
So, I mean, how cool is it?
Hi, Fred. Hi,
I know.
Maureen.
Hi. Love y'all. Toodles. But no, it's one of those things like everybody wants to know because they know folks are performing the music already. They've got a lot of it already. They know what's going on. And I was talking to Tim on Sunday, and he was like, "Yeah, pretty much the snare line is set." There's a couple folks we bring, like you said, just to check out and look at and everything like that. Which one of our friends, he was a snare drummer going out for it. He got the second call back. I don't think he was there on Sunday, but I wasn't really looking for him because I was enjoying the incredible performance. And that wasn't even the tip of what is going on.
Yeah, the pieces that you heard on Sunday, which I won't reveal all the titles for them.
Here
at this
we
point.
go.
But the pieces the pieces that you heard on Sunday are the latter half of the production. Parts of the production. We really wanted to start with the closer this year, so the closer is what you heard on Sunday, and it's very. I will say this: it's very percussion driven.
I'm not going to invite you back.
It's very rhythmically driven.
No, wait. It's very what?
Percussion driven.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's very rhythmically. You hear a lot of it. There's a lot of rhythmic interest in it that I think really creates the mood, and it creates the excitement and that energy underneath it. And so then when that horn line comes in and rips your face off, it's pretty awesome. So. We're real excited, and Andrew Markworth is our percussion arranger. In the past, he's been writing for the front ensemble.
That's right.
But this year, he also took on the task of writing for the battery as well. And so, what's great with Andrew is we're able to see the integration between the two. Whereas there's a potential for a disconnect if somebody's just writing the just writing the battery and just writing the front ensemble. Andrew does a great job of bringing both those parts together, and it's great. It sounds really great so far, and some really, really neat things that are going on, and it's going to be high energy. I always think
you are not
music,
telling me
that's what I kind of come down to. There's a lot of world music that's being incorporated.
Chelsea, what can you tell us, Chelsea?
It's awesome.
Man, you've got her trained already.
That's right.
It's going to be great.
I guess everyone will have to come out on Sunday, March 2nd.
Yes,
will be the date. And we'll have another ensemble rehearsal. We'll put more of the show together. And I've been told that in the next couple of weeks from Chuck that the music's coming out fast and furious. And it may be as soon as that camp or at the very latest in March where we're going to have the full show and start learning some drill and get to it. So
Chelsea's handed me a note that she doesn't want you guys to read. It says it's going to rock, so leave it alone, Mark. That's what it says.
Yes,
that's the note she's passing me over here.
Correct.
But no, I mean it really is because, like you said, it was just a tip of what we heard on Sunday, and it was amazing. And there were so many folks. I was really happy with the group that was standing around watching.
Yeah, there was a lot of folks that came out to see the performance and the rehearsal part. Right,
right.
And in the experience camps, we really try to set up what we call our experience showcase, our show and tell. Give a little bit of what the members are going through over the course of the weekend. We don't do as much of that during these winter camps because they're really geared towards the rehearsal. But we do have an open rehearsal at the end on Sunday, which is our ensemble rehearsal. And then that's when we put the brass with the battery in the front ensemble and start really chunking through the show outside. As long as the weather is as great as it was on Sunday.
Man, when he runs for office, I'm voting for him.
It was fantastic. So they all got to get a little glimpse at it. So if you want to hear the show, you'll have to come out to a winter camp, February 28th to March 2nd.
Yep, and then obviously June 13th will be MMX.
June 13th is MMX, so that'll be big for us, and we want to continue to make that event bigger and bigger every year, and continue to do the drumline battle stuff, continue to do our preview performance if we want to get some other groups to perform, hoping to make a connection with some of the folks from the Army and the Army Band. We got a great connection with them from the feeding the Army All-American Band.
I was about to say, yeah.
We fed the Army All-American Band back in when they were here for the Army All-American Bowl, so that was gave us some great connections, and I think there might be an opportunity for some continued collaboration, but maybe have some of their groups out, or I don't know. It's sort of limitless. We can do what we want to make that, and we just want to make it bigger every year. So I think that's and it won't rain.
Don't even say that.
It won't rain.
It will not rain for MMX this year. But we did it anyway. Obviously,
at this rate,
the marching performance.
It might snow on June 13th.
Who knows? Who knows?
The rate we're going.
Yeah, we didn't get to do the marching performance on MMX last year due to the weather. We just had to do an abbreviated
standstill.
Standstill. And then obviously last year what we did is for Fiesta we did the Fiesta Battle of the Flowers, which we're not going to do this year.
Correct. that's an event where I guess they have some different groups that do that each year, and so we'll hopefully be back in a rotation to do that at some point down the road. But
yeah, because I know in my script that I had told everybody this is just I think it was 70 members of our entire Corps, and people were like,
it was 30.
Wow, yeah, that's right. Oh man, those people were loud, and I'm like, that wasn't even close.
Yeah.
You have to wait.
Yeah, we definitely want to try to arrange that maybe in the future and get the full Corps. And a lot of it just depends on when the camp schedule is. That happened to fall close to a camp, but it's on a Thursday night. And how do you get everyone here? And there's some logistics that are involved with that. But
that's got to be the biggest nightmare that I would see in administrative staff is the logistics.
The logistics are difficult. I mean, I can tell you that the week before camp for all of us in the office is kind of stressful because you're just trying to take care of everything that you need for camp and making sure everything goes off without like clockwork. Right. And so that's, coordinating your volunteers, coordinating all the shuttle pickups that have to happen because kids are flying in from all over the country, making sure all the facilities are all squared away, making sure we have food and that's been purchased and that's where it needs to be, and that all the equipment works, and that we have music printed, and that we have, staff all accounted for, and that we know what's happening here, and that we're ready to go. And of course, when we leave the office on Friday to head over to camp, we hope we have everything. And
did we forget something?
No, yeah, I think we did pretty well this camp. So, but there's always those kinds of things that are part of it. And then we really are on call on the administrative end for 24 hours a day for the next couple of days that we're at the facility. So, for example, at Madison High School, the fire alarm started going off at 6:05 a.m. for no particular reason.
That's awesome.
No, not that awesome.
You should be awake anyway.
Enjoy our sleep, but
right, our extra 10 minutes that we're gonna get.
Yeah, but we have they have a great facility folks there, custodians, and so they were able to take care of that in a couple of minutes. But of course, maybe I shouldn't say this, but we ran down to the gym concerned that kids might be jumping up or getting anxious, and no, everyone is still in their sleeping bag, sleeping peacefully.
There's like, what is that? Turn your alarm clock off.
Exactly. But anyway, so that's kind of what we do. There's just a lot of logistics that go into every part of our camp, every part of any event that happens.
But you also have a lot of new folks. I mean, I think in the symbol line, correct me if I'm wrong, there was one returning vet, and then all the rest are new. Same with the snares. 4 returning snare vets, and all the rest are new.
That's actually a pretty good retention rate for the snares.
That is good.
That much, but we had a lot of turnover. But you know what? I don't think it's that far outside the normal spectrum of turnover for a particular year. I mean, you have to look at out of 150 members, you've got, I don't know how many age outs we have, maybe 25 age outs last year. So you're already down to 125 potential, returning members. Some of those choose not to march for life reasons. Life gets in the way and they have other things. Some of them decide that they want to go audition at some other drum corps. And that's their choice. And, emotionally, that's
Did we get their jacket
hard,
back?
No, they're still Crossmen, and they're still part of. They've been through our experience, and that makes them part of our family. So
yes,
intellectually, we understand some of that. Emotionally, it's hard. We don't want to see folks leave, but it's part of drum corps. And
like you said, life gets in the way. A lot of folks are really buckling down on school and stuff like that.
Absolutely, especially at that age. As the average age of the corps goes up, we see that more folks are having to worry about taking care of their graduation requirements and getting out of school, or it's some of it's a financial thing. Drum corps costs a lot, unfortunately, on an individual basis, and that's not always as easy for some folks as we would like. So, in a perfect world, we would all be able to do that for free and pay them to do it. But that's just not where we're at, and that's part of the rising cost of drum corps. But we keep trying to make it as cost effective as possible. So.
And that's awesome. I got a note here from Kristen Thomas, of course, Jared's mom, saying that June 13th is Jared's birthday.
And for Jared's birthday, we are going to have an MMX event featuring Crossmen.
Which Jared gets to play in. You'll be able to take a photo of Jared playing on his birthday at the MMX.
We will do that for sure. So
Jared's such a cool guy. I mean, we were down in Galveston. Michelle had a conference she had to go to. I took the radio stuff down there because I was doing a race on Saturday. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? I said, nothing. I'm just hanging out at the hotel pool. Hey, I'll come on over. So he came over. We did a show right there at the hotel about the Crossmen. And he's like, this is so cool. I was like, dude, Galveston's awesome. I would never want to leave. But,
we have a lot of really great members. And, that's for us. I mean, I think that's kind of the payoff. We don't have we're not in front of them like their instructors are all day long. So
right.
From an administrative standpoint, our interactions are much more minimal. We see them in the food line. We see them when we have to go collect money. We see them when, we have to collect paperwork or take them to the ER. Or,
no wonder they don't like you guys so much.
Yeah, admin, badmin. So, but no, we're really... That for us is when we get to
right.
have great kids like Jared and be around those members and you see them come back year to year, and that's a payoff for us, and we enjoy being around them. And there's some real characters in the Corps, but they're all great kids. That's just a different. It's not that way everywhere. And
yeah.
We've got these great Texas kids
because you don't have any prima donnas or divas really in the Crossmen.
We really don't. I mean, there's a little bit of that Crossman swagger. I don't know what else you would call it.
Of course,
you've got that Crossman attitude.
I saw Chelsea when she walked in. She had that swagger already.
It rubs off pretty quickly. But so there's that part. But I think they're all really, really polite individuals. There's a lot of yes sirs and yes ma'ams and no sirs and no ma'ams. So that's pretty awesome.
In which my 5-year-old just came in with a balloon for me to tie. Shelby, what instrument do you want to play when you get older? What do you want to play? Huh? What? Bowling? No, I said instrument. Drums, trumpet. Thank you.
She's going to play the drums.
She's going to play the drums. She can already do a drum roll.
Let me tell you about our Crossman Educational Signature Series coming up.
She's going to go to all of them, experience every instrument the Crossmen provide. Because we talked about it once before. Because, like I said, my lovely bride, Michelle, she was a bass clarinet player. And there's a lot of woodwinds that are going, hey, I want to do DCI. I want to do drum corps. I want to march a Crossman. So how do they do that? How do they go from a woodwind to a brass or a percussion?
I mean, a lot of our woodwind players, and Chelsea's actually an oboe player by trade.
Well, there you go.
So a lot of them learn skills to be in the color guard. A lot of them learn skills to play a brass instrument, and there are some things that are very applicable between both. But it's a lot of them learn how to wave their hands around and become a drum major. So there are some opportunities, and while drum corps still will continue at this point to be brass and percussion and color guard, I think if they really want to be involved in DCI, there's a chance for them to do that. They've just got to probably take a little bit different path. So, but yeah, we go through that, and I know there are a lot of saxophone players and clarinet players and flute players that wish they had that. So yes, the MMX stuff. So.
Yeah, MX, of course, you can go on crossmen.org for all the information, see what's coming up. Also, do the Fuel-a-thon donation we talked about, because it takes a lot to get the motor vehicle brigade down the road. And then volunteer and see what you can do to help out for the Crossmen. And that's one thing like we talked about. I talked to a freshman the other day at Churchill. He was like, I want to try out for DCI, but I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know what to do. I was like, hey, just go volunteer, help out, and get to see what they do, because he saw it on YouTube, he saw it online. Obviously, folks have told him what DCI does, and it's a lot of work, because it really is. But I told him, hey, go volunteer for a Crossman, and you'll get a real good aspect of what happens.
Sure, and I did want to just make a quick note about our volunteer program, our 151s. We have had a really great turnout of 151s so far in the experience camps and all of our audition camps so far. Just this past weekend, we had about 28 or 29 folks that came and volunteered for the course of the weekend, and that's anywhere from helping at the food truck to helping with merchandise to helping shuttle folks to and from the airport. But that's a huge part of what we do, and quite honestly, we could not do it without our awesome 151s. And so they have been fantastic so far this year. And we're just continuing to try to grow that. Volunteerism in any nonprofit, in particular in drum corps, is essential. So we really want to make sure that we continue to grow that and be a part of that. So if anybody is interested in doing that, please check out our website, crossmen.org/volunteer. Is where you can get some more information, and we're always looking for more folks, and we've already had a bunch of people that have started signing up for the summer and saying, this is when I want to be there, these are the weeks I either want to come on and do some driving or help out in the food truck, or I can give you a week here or a week there, and so we wouldn't get down the road without them. So know that they are an integral part of what we do at Crossmen, and we're just thankful for all of their service, because it's just great.
Yeah, because they're already, like I said, they're already on Facebook. A lot of folks like, oh, well, when's move-in? Because I want to be there that week. I can't make it Friday or Saturday, but I can come in on Sunday to Sunday, and that's a great way to give back. And a lot of them, they're not necessarily the parents of the Crossmen. They just want to give back to something they love so much.
Yeah, there are folks you don't have to be a parent of the Crossmen,
right?
Of a Crossman member. We have alumni, we have folks that just like doing it. Our buddy Warren.
Oh yeah,
comes and he drives that van all summer long, and he doesn't have any kids in the drum corps. I don't even think he knew a little bit about drum corps and had some experience, but way back. But he's a fantastic asset for us, and he shuttles for camps, and we love having him. But that's a great thing. So make sure you like our Facebook page, Crossmen Volunteers.
Very nice.
And then we also have a group, Crossmen Volunteering, that's on there, as I learned the other day. So we've utilized any of the social media stuff. We try to communicate that way. Our website has some more information about volunteering. We just want to drum up some more support, pun intended, to try to get some folks to continue to do that. So. Yeah, the schedule is on the Crossmen Volunteer page, and you can take a look and what do we call it? Our corecation. So you can plan your corecation for the summer. So please do it, and we'd love to have you out. So, and you get a T-shirt if nothing else.
Yeah, that 151 shirt is pretty cool. I have to say that. And it's funny because when I go to races and events and stuff, I have a Crossman banner I put up, and I've had so many people come up to me in the last 3 months going, "Hey, what do you know about the Crossmen? Why are you promoting the Crossmen?" I even had one guy, he's like, "Why are you promoting the Crossmen?" I said, "Well, why? Duh, they're number one. They're the best." And he goes, "Well, I was with Regiment." I said, "Who?" Regiment. I'm like, "I never heard of them." Just kidding. I actually tried out for Regiment once. But anyway, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm the band director for Canyon Lake." And he's like, and he's a band director for Bernie. And I was like, "Oh," I said, "Did you guys know about the camps coming up?" And we started talking, and I was supposed to be announcing the race. And I ended up talking to those guys for 30 minutes about the Crossmen and what was coming up, and obviously MMX and that kind of thing. And they were like, "Aren't you supposed to be doing this?" I'm like, "I'm not worried about it." The race director was my dad, so I'm not really worried about it. But it was one of those things that you put the name out there. I did a race in Dallas, and someone was like, "Oh, I saw the Crossmen at the Square."
Oh, the showcase in the Square.
Showcase the Square on Sunday which is June 16th.
Yep. June 3rd,
4th, 15th.
Around that time.
Yeah, June 15th, which is that Sunday.
June 15th. Yeah.
June 15th, that Sunday. You see them at Crossmen in the Square, obviously up in Dallas as they're heading north. But this year, it's going to be a little bit different.
We're going to Dallas and then heading west.
Yeah.
The 15th is in South Lake and the 20th is in Clovis.
Yeah. So we got 5 days to get from Dallas to Clovis.
Wow. Well, I've done that drive in 24 hours, but that was just me in a car.
We are not going to do it in 24 hours.
Yeah, I did in 24 hours. That was just like a pull over. Yeah, it was crazy. But anyway, folks, you can go online, of course, crossman.org, find out more information. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Chelsea, you talk way too much. We're going to calm you down a little bit. So, Chelsea, what are you looking forward to for 2014?
I'm looking forward to a great season of hitting the West Coast and branching out to get some new people and welcoming Crossmen everywhere.
Joel's over there smiling.
Yeah, I agree. Come see us next week at TMEA, or 2 weeks at TMEA here in San Antonio, the convention center, if you're around. The Texas Music Educators Association.
The booths are at 3527 and 3529, I think it is.
I think so. It's posted on the website.
Yeah.
So definitely come see us at TMEA. And then I would be remiss if I didn't say we have some instruments for sale, if anybody's interested. Some trumpets.
I actually need to go over to the warehouse. Fred told me I need to come over and look at some speakers and stuff.
Yeah, we've got some equipment like that. We've got trumpets and flugelhorns. Any of you band directors out there trying to sell some used trumpets and flugelhorns? Great price. So
it's really cheap price.
Yeah, great price. So,
never dropped.
It's on the website, and there's information about purchasing instruments there.
Yep, so. Crossman.org. We got a thing here to say, I'm loving this year's music. Ballad really moved me when I heard it on Sunday.
Yep, it's great. And I was going to tell you the title. I almost gave away the title there.
Joel is not.
I agree.
Joel, you're not welcome back anymore, Joel. You haven't given us anything. I'm going to talk to Maureen about that, which we can never get her on the air.
She said she might come.
What?
Maureen has booked for next week.
Maureen has booked for next week. I have worked on Maureen to come on the air for 2 years. Actually, what happened was last year, I think you guys were here, and she was sitting there, and we literally had to move the microphone away. But when we were talking and everything, she was talking, and I went like just to get her on, and she's like, "No, I don't want to be on." I go, "Yeah, but you're being a part of it." She
told us specifically that she would be here next week to be on the radio show.
Awesome. Maureen, you're more than welcome.
Kick my butt when I get home.
That's right. When you get back to the headquarters. But again, folks, thanks for listening. It's crossmen.org. Follow them on Twitter at Crossmen. You have any information or any questions you want to do about the Crossmen, obviously hit up the staff, the admin staff, the best in the world. They're ready to go. They're ready to go for 2014. As my daughter walks in with a balloon on her foot. Well, that's pretty interesting. But no, we thank everybody for listening. Of course, support your music in your schools. Do what you can. Obviously, I'll go ahead and plug this. Monday night, Tejeda Band is having an enchilada dinner and a concert. Go on over to Tejeda if you're here in San Antonio. Support our young musicians. Buy some enchiladas. Listen to some great music. And if you do so inclined, buy a flugelhorn or a trumpet from the Crossmen and donate it to your school that your children go to or your school that you went to and give back to our community. So thanks a lot, everybody, for coming in. Rico, thank you. Joel.
You. Thanks.
Chelsea.
Thank you.
The talker. I'm gonna call her that. He's like, thank you. God bless everybody. Take care, and we'll see you next week on the Bones Hour.